Hey, Greg Kappas here with GGN. Looking forward to continuing our part 2 on poverty, prosperity, or the true gospel. You know, people are thirsty in Phoenix. It's cooling down here, but it's still hot, and we're in October now. But I want you to know that people are more desperately thirsty for Jesus Christ and the true gospel. Follow up, listen to this message, continue in our wisdom series. We're getting ready to start in a few weeks on eternal rewards. God bless you, and here's to you. But be careful. You can go the other way and say, well, I don't want prosperity gospel. I want to follow Jesus. And you can get in a poverty gospel and listen to what God says. So in the day of prosperity, be joyful. But in the day of adversity, consider. Consider what? God has made the one as well as the other. So in other words, when you're going through a tough time, be able to enjoy the fact that you can worship the Lord, and though you may be suffering financially, you may be suffering with your health, you may be suffering in other areas of family relationship that you're working on to keep clear communication and lots of love there, but there can be pain, there can be emotional distraught. God's saying, look, I make things that go really well, the straight stick, the straight line, and I make things that are a little crooked or a little bouncy or a little bit difficult. And so the poverty gospel is not the way to go, where you say, well, I'm just going to trust Jesus, and since he didn't have a place to lay his head, I'm just going to trust that I got to sleep in my car, or I got to sleep on a cot, or I got to sleep on the ground all the time too. God's made difficult times, and God's made joyful times. But he doesn't want you to think that being a Christian means I always got to live in poverty, or being a Christian means I always got to live in prosperity. God is telling us he's made both, one as well as the other. That brings up the question, why is that? And listen to the end of verse 14. God does this so that man may not find out anything that will be after him. What does that mean? Basically what the text is saying is God does this because he doesn't want you and me to put him in a box. He doesn't want us to think, I can fit God neatly into my prosperity box. I can fit God neatly in my suffering box. He wants us to realize we can't figure him out. We fear him, we love him, we rejoice in him, we walk with him daily, and we walk in the Word, and we walk in the Spirit. And we take what Jesus brings in our life, good or bad, as we worship him. One last thing I wrote here about is that the true gospel brings balance. 1 Corinthians 15 gives us a true gospel. You may have both. Sometimes prosperity. You may have other times great suffering and difficulty in your life. Jesus' life, his death, his burial, and his resurrection, of course, in 1 Corinthians 15, is the true gospel. But how can we say that I'm going to follow Jesus and he's going to always prosper me when we realize that Jesus we worship died an excruciating death on the cross? Friends, that's suffering. He shed his blood. He lived his life. He shed his blood. He died. He was buried, but he resurrected, and that's the joy of Christianity. So if God gives you wealth, enjoy it, but enjoy it with worship. Give to him always the first fruits, and do it with the right perspective. If God takes you through a series of difficulty or poverty, rejoice in him because he will provide. He will bless you in his time. The Christian life, friends, calls for balance. That's 1 Corinthians 15. That's the true gospel. And that's wisdom for you and me.